Hey YouTube, Marvel Tokon just announced a few new characters, Magic, Wolverine, Danger. You guys all seen the news. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the actual balance changes that kind of got like stealth dropped in the actual trailer and some of the footage, right? So there's actually a few changes. We'll go over them. And the main point I want to make is, you guys have probably seen this in other videos, but I want to talk about the implications of this. Because a lot of people are thinking these are really good changes. I'm a little skeptical because I've played other team games like 2XKO, Dragon Ball, and BB Tag, and while I think they are in the right direction, and I think it's really good that the devs are listening to the general public and some of the feedback, I also think this brings up some concerns about what the gameplay is going to look like in the future, and I'm hoping that there's more changes besides this, right? Because I think if you look at these changes in a vacuum, the game's just going to get way more degenerate. And I don't think people really want a super degenerate game because I think tag games are already degenerate enough. So anyways, this is the first one. Neutral assists are now usable during combos and block strings. So we don't know for sure if this is the case, but the idea is this right here is Miss Marvel's back assist, right? So if she was in the 4th slot, this is what she would do. It's really good for lockdown. And before, I actually thought this was one of the worst assists in the game. Which is, you know, back when, oh, by the way, I won a Marvel Tokon tournament. That's me. So I actually know what I'm talking about. I thought this was one of the worst assists in the game. And I actually won it with Miss Marvel on my team. And I would purposely never have her in the 4th slot because one, she's just really cheap on point. And two, I thought very, very poorly of this assist because it's a lockdown assist. But the issue is when you actually are doing a block string, you can never get this out because you had to be in neutral, right? So you could really only call this a neutral and it didn't really go anywhere. Now this assist, because of this change, goes from one of the worst assists to probably one of the best assists because it just locks you down for so long. And this is, I think, is a good change. I actually think this is probably the best change because it gives a little bit more individuality instead of just getting that like generic push assist. Is this gonna be, I've seen people speculate, like, is this gonna be for all assist or just like the assist in the 4th slot? I guess TBD. I think it's okay either way. But either way, like, if you're gonna do this, you need to change like some of the actual like block sum mechanics, right? Because right now unblockables are very, very OP. People don't realize because like we haven't got to that level yet, but unblockables are very, very strong. And think of an example in 2XKO, right? 2XKO is a very, very easy game to get someone to block, right? So for example, all I have to do is something like this, and now you're blocked and you're sandwiched. Imagine if I could just do this, and then do this. Wait, I would do like, yeah, anything, go into overhead, go into low, and then you would just be instantly opened up because it's unblockable. They used to have this in 2XKO. They purposely took it out because it was just too degenerate. Everyone would just spam this unblockable and you would get free damage. It's going to be so much easier to do unblockables now because of this. And I really hope that they tone this down a little bit. That's all I'm saying. But I do think it's good to, I think it's good to have more, be able to use more assists uniquely, right? A couple other changes. Actually, I think there's a 4th change, right? So we'll go over this. They extended the combo timer, which is really interesting. I thought the combos were a little short, but we did see some like actual pretty cool combos down the road. Whether this is a confirmed change or not, I don't know, but it definitely looks like the combo timer is extended because it used to like go into the red really far. 2XKO has the weird problem of people saying the combos are too long, right? So again, I think you run into issue if you listen to too many people or you listen to the wrong people, you can get differing feedback, right? So I'm sure there's like a proper middle ground between like 2XKO combos being too long for casuals, which definitely is a thing, and where the Marvel Tokon combos were before. Were they too short before? I don't really know. I actually kind of like the combo length. I just thought it was lacking in some combo variety. Now, are we going to have combos that are longer and lacking in combo variety? I guess we'll see. That's TBD. But what I really want to see there is more combo variety. I think 2XKO did a pretty good job of adding some combo variety to the game. So for example, before you just always used to end in your like most damaging ender, and then you would run a mix-up, right? And this is back in like Alpha Lab 1. And now like I have many different decisions to make, even if I just land like this stand medium punch, right? I can go for a solo ender. I can go for like, do I have assist available? How much burst do they have? Am I in kill range? There's all these like really neat, do I want to go for like Oki, etc. There's all these really neat questions I have to ask myself when I'm doing a combo, and I can end it in a different way, right? So for example, I can, this is my default. And this is a cool combo, don't get me wrong, but it has some disadvantages. And so I don't always want to go into that combo, even though it's my most damaging. And so this could be good, but really what I want to see is, are you adding more combo variety, right? Are there like ways you can sacrifice damage for a mix-up? Or are there ways to, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what they cook up, right? And yeah, this could be a non-change, right? Like we've seen gas leaks before. I think it's TBD. There are some other changes, SQ points out here. You can call your normal assist for an airborne. This is scary. So before, if you jumped, again, pretend this is Marvel Tokon, if you jumped and pressed assist, you would get a different assist that just wouldn't hit grounded opponents. This is the change I'm actually most scared of, right? The reason I'm most scared of this change is in tag games like BB Tag, a very, very degenerate strategy is you would super jump and just call your assist, right? And you could kind of do that in Tokon, but what you had to do is like you had to call your assist first and then jump. And you see, like that doesn't really cover my approach as well, as opposed to something like this, which will beat like an anti-air, right? So let's say I do this with Blitzcrank. Like this is obviously really strong in this game. And like let's say I try to anti-air, I just get hit out and I die. And this is very, very strong. It's even at high level, this is prevalent, but it has weaknesses. For example, I can just parry, right? I can, because the screen's larger, I can run away. Tokon doesn't have those two things, which is a little concerning, that a lot of the game plan, and they have better assists too, right? So as opposed to a lag assist that just goes a little bit far, you have literal full screen beams. So imagine like the most prevalent strategy is being super jump, call your full screen beam. And how do you beat that? I don't know. Before you couldn't do that because you would get an air assist, and you there was no way to like do that. Or you could like call beam and then jump, but you couldn't really approach that accurately, right? So I am a little concerned about this change. Hopefully it's like it only applies to certain assists, like maybe your back assist. It's TBD, right? And then I guess tag is faster now, which I think was good. I think tag was just kind of like really, really slow before. I think the speed of a 2x KO tag is almost perfect, because like you can react to this, right? You can react and see it's a cross up, but it doesn't like take so much time that you're like literally falling asleep. Like it felt like you were in Marvel Tokon. So I actually think this is probably like the best change they could have added. So but overall, I think my general thoughts is I'm cautiously optimistic, because it's very obvious that listening community, these are things all people complained about, right? The combos being too generic, not being able to call your assist while airborne, etc. Is this still, I actually thought the game was in a pretty good state. I think the main issue of the game before was that it was just too scrubby. And what I mean by that is that, like, you know, when I think of like a improvement curve in a game, I spelled that completely wrong, but you usually, like, if you're learning, like you've seen probably some curves that are like actually like this, right? Where you're learning and eventually it starts to peter off, and that's how most strong fighting games are. This was like one of the first fighting games I felt like the curve actually looked like this. Because like if you wanted to start implementing like a second like a second character, you had to tank your win rate so far. Like if you want to stop implementing auto combos, you had to tank your win rate. Even though in the long term it's good, I think there's just certain things that like are just so hard to implement compared to the how easy and basic the simple strategies are. So I think that's still a concern I have with the game. And I think that's actually where a lot of the root of like criticism to the game comes into play. I hope they address that. I hope jump plus assist isn't like broken as shit, because I think in games like BB Tag, it's balanced by the fact that ground and neutral skips are so strong, and 2xKO is balanced by the fact that the assists aren't as strong and you have parry, right? Marvel Tokon, I don't know how it's going to be balanced. I'm going to be real, but maybe it's, again, only applies to certain assists, or maybe it's just broken as shit. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope they account for that, and I hope they account for unblockables. But the fact that they're listening to the community, I think it's a good sign. Let me know what you think down in the comments below.